Thank you so much, and thank you, Nelly, for the beautiful songs.
Oh my God.
Thanks everyone for being here this morning. We have a good group today.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Today. Did I say this morning?
You said today.
I said today, but I think I said this morning. It's today. It's today.
Always today.
When has it ever been this morning? Never. So I don't know where that came from. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to see all of you on this really, really beautiful, beautiful day. Nice and cool out there.
Feels great.
It does. So let us begin with our song that we start with, Prayer of the Children of Love. It's on the front of your songbook. And I invite you to stand and sing along with us.
Father, Mother, God, your kingdom come, your holy will be wholly done. Spirit, source of love, your children sing, flow through us now in everything, every day, in every way. Our prayer is this: everywhere, let love be there. and so it is. Back to the top. Father, Mother, God, your kingdom come, your holy will be wholly done. Spirit, source of love, your children sing, flow through us now in everything. To the end. Father, Mother, God, your children pray, beloved in us in every way.
Beautiful. Thank you, and please be seated. I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And let's begin to relax and center ourselves in this beautiful, beautiful sacred moment together. Let's take our 3 deep fellowship breaths with an audible ah, just releasing every little bit of stress and tension that might be in your body. Let's breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe in. And now just follow your breath very gently as we bring our full awareness to the one divine presence. The consciousness of living spirit as us and through us, extending out into this world. The spirit of infinite peace flows through our whole being, and we are free of judgment and free of fear. Peace exists at the center of everyone and everything. And knowing this, we let go of all confusion, obstacles, and allow ourselves to expand into the realm of pure love. Forever alive, awake, and aware. The same spirit of love is in us all, is us all. And so we relax and let the power greater than ourselves guide us and protect us. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you so much. Now we have some special music from our group this morning. Wo Nelly, Leroy Harvey, Valerie Clark, Jeanette Berzan, and Matt Blyton. Give them a warm welcome.
Well, you picked this one sort of. Well, I sort of picked it, and you agreed. So, hey, we agreed. So we're doing a song by Lucinda Williams. We tried to think of songs that went along with Bill's message today. So, and we were practicing yesterday, and I don't know, something, I just thought maybe this would sort of fit. So, here you go. You wait in the car on the side of the road. Let me go and stand a while. I wanna know you're there, but I wanna be alone. If only for a minute or two, I wanna see what it feels like to be without you. I wanna know the touch of my own skin against the sun, against the wind. I walked out in a dream. The grass was high, brushed against my legs. I just stood and looked out at the open space and the farmhouse out of ways. And I wondered about the people who live in it. And I wondered if they were happy and content. Were the children and the man and wife? Did she love you and take her hair down and if I strayed away too far from you, don't go and try and find me. It doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean I won't come back and stay beside you. Only means I need a little time to follow that unbroken line to a place where the wild things grow, to a place where I used to always go. If you only for a minute or two, I wanna see what it feels like to be without you. I wanna know the touch of my own skin against the sun, against the wind.
Thank you. That was beautiful, wasn't it?
It was lovely.
We all need some time, don't we? So we have a fellowship song to sing this afternoon together. And please, after we're done singing the song, stay standing so that we can spend some time greeting each other and offering love to each other. We are going to stand together now and turn to page 31 and sing Love One Another. I want to let you get to that page in your book, page 31, and make sure that you have the changes Do you see some changes? 1, 2, 3, 4. Four stanzas down. Instead of family of man, we're going to sing family of all. We've made these changes before, but just in case.
Oh, I have family of man.
Do you want to take your pencil and change that so the next person will have it? And then in the next line, let's love one another, each one as all others.
Where are you at?
So let's love one another. Just 2 down, first line. Let's love one another. It says each man as our brother. We're going to sing each one as all others. So now we'll make sure that more books have that change in it. Okay, thank you so much for doing that. Okay, and please stand and we'll sing together.
Love one another, love one another, love one another. We are learning how. Love one another, love one another, love one another. Do it now. Let's make peace our passion, put love into action. Love can make a difference, this I know. Let's love one another, each one as all others. Make our world a safe and loving place to grow. Love one another, love one another, love one another. We are learning how. Love one another, love one another, love one another. Do it now. Let's take on the challenge, responsibility. Create the kind of world that love can mold. Start by looking inward at the fears we harbor there, that keep us feeling separate and cold. Love one another, love one another, love one another. We are learning how. Love one another, love one another, love one another. Do it now. Freedom comes with choosing. Listen to our heart and get our separate self out of the way. Trust our source of love inside and nourish it each day. It will double as we give it all away. Love one another, love one another, love one another. We are learning how. Love one another, love one another, love one another. Do it now. We are one big family, a family of all. Even though we're different, we're the same. And we live together with love from heart to heart. Throughout the planet we all play our part. Love one another, love one another, love one another. We are learning how. Love one another, love one another, love one another. Do it now. one another. Do it now.
Thank you, and thank you, Lucille.
Well, that was just
Meditation. Hello. Thank you. Good to see you too.
It's definitely better.
It is, huh?
Some progress.
What you been doing for it?
Still PT, and then I finally started doing some interval walking with me, so
I ran for 45 minutes on Friday.
feel good.
I didn't feel bad when I ran. I was just feeling a little sore the day after because I haven't run, but, how that is.
Oh, man. It's better. Is it? I was able to do some. Yeah, I would have chosen some walking, running intervals. Yeah. Might have gone a little bit too fast, but then this thing popped out again. But
Won't have time to do my whole talk unless we get up here.
but yeah, so it popped out again. But well, it's overtime, overuse. Oh, actually, that's
I turned to that.
you did okay.
Okay, I'm not going to say too much because Bill just said I'm not going to be able to give my whole talk if everybody doesn't sit down. So I'm very happy to introduce our speaker today, Bill Dietrich. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thanks. Well, I see all of you here. All right. After I gave my last talk, I asked Mary for some feedback, and her feedback was, well, talk about something different. So, today's topic is sex, love, and Jesus. It
is one of the most beautiful and horrible things, sex. It's part of life, it's a need, but what have we done with it? Wow. Growing up in the 50s and 60s, I didn't know sex existed until I was 12. At age 11, my mother gave me a little book to read, and I couldn't make any sense out of it. We were very isolated back then. But then I entered 7th grade in the fall, and some boys showed me a picture. Then I got it. The picture made sense. Sex education from my parents could be summarized in one word: don't. Shame and guilt were attached to sex. Shame mostly placed on women and girls if they had sex outside of marriage. Shame, guilt on both genders, but mostly on females. Condemnation or ridicule for people who were attracted to their same gender. That's how it was back then. Beginning in the late 60s, with the sexual revolution, there was one. If you were around, you know that there was actually one happening then. Woodstock and all of that. Things changed. In 1947, my mother, she wasn't my mother yet, but she became pregnant at age 16. She was naive and inexperienced, had no idea what was going on in the world, but she went out with a boy who was very experienced, and he took advantage of her one time, and she got pregnant. When her parents found out, she was put in a home for unwed mothers, and the baby was adopted out. My mother had no say in the matter, and it was never discussed. That was it. Fortunately for her, during her pregnancy, she met and became friends with a young man who became my father. They were married 3 months after she had that baby. Unusual story, isn't it? But just think, what would have happened to her had she attempted to return to her old life? A 17-year-old back in high school where everyone knew what had happened because the guy who did it had bragged to everyone about it. The judgment would have been very hard on her. But fortunately, she didn't have to deal with that. In today's world, sex is everywhere. It's like that song by Cole Porter, Anything Goes. In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked upon as something shocking. But now, God knows, anything goes. That was really not true in 1934, except in Hollywood and New York. The rest of the country, no. But it is kind of a fun musical if you ever catch it. Unlike in my mother's day, babies today from unwed mothers are rarely adopted, but kept and often cherished and celebrated by grandparents, not secretly adopted out. So I think that's a good thing. But the judgment is still there. The problem is morality. Now, in the Old Testament of the Bible, it says you shall not commit adultery. But what is adultery? According to Reverend Eric Butterworth in his book on the Ten Commandments, Eric is a Unity minister in New York. He said the word adultery literally means to add other. That is, to make someone or something impure. If something is adulterated, it's impure. If it's unadulterated, it's pure. And he says that adultery takes place in the mind when we add corrupt thoughts to substance, and when we act against our own best interest or our own highest good. But in the Old Testament, adultery had nothing to do with morality. It was about lineage. Old Testament men had multiple wives and concubines, and many had slave girls too. It was only the women that had to report to one man. The men found their immortality in their lineage, and so if another man invaded their territory with their women, it messed up the whole system. So the rule against adultery was not about morality, it was about maintaining the patriarchal system. Today, adultery, which is defined as one spouse in a marriage cheating on the other, is still against the law in 16 states. It's a misdemeanor, but in 3 states, it's a felony: Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and Michigan. It's not enforced, but it can be used in a divorce case. We have a lot of lawbreakers in here, don't we? Sexual morality today, it varies between cultures, and it's often contradictory. In some cultures, virginity, or the lack of, is a big deal. And women have been punished, and still are in some countries, if they are determined to not be a virgin on their marriage night. There's an interesting talk on YouTube entitled The Virginity Fraud. It's done by two women. It's really interesting because it says that blood on the sheet does not necessarily mean anything. That the studies they've been through say that the way people have framed it over the years is simply not the way it is. And so a lot of women probably suffered punishment and even death because they were accused of something they didn't do. And that can still happen today in some of the countries in the Middle East and Africa. So what is this whole deal then about virginity, this obsession? Mary, the mother of Jesus, is described as a virgin, but was she? Many translators say that's an incorrect translation. They take the word alma from Hebrew, which meant young woman, and young women who were ready for marriage were assumed to be virgin, but that was an assumption. The word in English, instead of saying young woman or maiden, yet it was changed to virgin. Her virgin status, though, maybe it's symbolic because she was a pure soul. The goddess Athena in ancient Greece was described as a virgin, but that had nothing to do with morality or sex. In ancient Greece, if you were a woman and you weren't a slave, there were two pathways. You were either married, which means you were confined to the house and children, and you rarely went out, or you were a courtesan, which means you had intellectual conversations because you were educated, and sexual relations with married, knowledgeable men. Those women could have status and often influence, but they had no position power. Only men had that. And since women were essentially owned by men back then, Athena, being a virgin, meant that she was independent of men. Nobody owned her. She could make her own decisions. She was the goddess of wisdom and of strategic warfare. So women could admire her because she was beautiful, wise, and badass. So back to contradictions. In our present day, last year, there were a number of radio stations that refused to play the song, "Baby, It's Cold Outside." Some people were offended by it. In the song, if you ever saw the movie Elf, the duet in the locker room, this is pretty cute actually. In the song, the man wants the woman to spend the night, and she really wants to, but she's afraid it's not the right thing to do because it wouldn't be proper. This was a song written in 1944, so it goes with that time. At the same time, people were refusing to play that for whatever reason. The number one song in the U.S. was by Cardi B. I cannot say the title of that song in this, but its initials are WAP. It was a graphic description of what a woman wanted a man to do to her. It was basically pornography, and it was the number one song. So today, or these days, the Supreme Court is being petitioned to ban, once again, gay marriage by a woman named Kim Davis. Kim Davis earned her fame as a county clerk, I think in Tennessee or Kentucky, where she refused to issue licenses to same-sex couples, even though it was legal for them to have them. She bases her actions on the Bible. However, Kim has been divorced 3 times. So there is a little bit of a contradiction there. So the term homosexual was not added to the Bible until 1946, and that was in the Revised Standard Version. Before that, there were different words in that verse that was in 1 Corinthians, and the translators actually admitted it was a mistake. But they had a contract that said they couldn't change whatever they did, so they couldn't change it. I think after about 10 years they could. I don't know what it says now in Bibles that have been printed after that time. So, is sex somehow dirty? Is it unspiritual? Well, there is such a thing as sacred sex. There's a book, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. And in it he says, sacred sex, in this context, is a practice to deepen one's spiritual awareness and connection, moving beyond superficial interactions to find greater meaning in intimacy. There's always been a concept of sacred sex. And of course, there certainly is a dark side to sex. Today, millions of women and children are held in what is essentially sexual slavery. You can book a vacation to Thailand, and for the right price, you can have sex with whomever or whatever you want, including children. Sex trafficking has been one of the fastest growing crimes in the last 2 decades, and it's continuing to grow. Children are lured or forced into a life of turning tricks. I attended a talk by a Michigan State senator several years ago, and her goal was to decriminalize women and children who had been arrested for prostitution, because it wasn't of their own free will. And of course, with a child, there is no free will involved. Anyway, she told us a couple stories. In one, she said that there was a church group in southeast Michigan that drugged and took the clothes off of a 16-year-old girl, took pictures of her, and then blackmailed her into offering sex for pay, which they collected the profits. They were eventually caught. Near Mount Pleasant, foster parents were caught trafficking their foster children. And near Grand Rapids, there were parents who were arrested for trafficking their own children. So it's sometimes somebody gets taken, kidnapped, whatever, but it happens in very intimate situations where people trust each other. Back in the 80s, I worked with families that practiced incest. I was a therapist for a group of 21 women. All of their children had been sexually abused by their husbands, and every one of the women had been sexually abused when they were growing up by fathers and brothers. It was generational. It was their normal. I was never sexually abused or assaulted, but I had a front row seat to the aftermath, seeing what abuse does to people, how it affects them. Anyone who was hurt sexually might consider this, to stop saying the words, "I was abused," because whoever the you may be, didn't do anything. The person who's abused was the object of that sentence, not the subject. Instead, someone or so-and-so assaulted me or abused me. They did it. The only thing that the person who was abused did was to survive, and hopefully to heal, to do the work to heal, then and still now if needed. Healing means to free oneself from the trauma, to create a new story, and not to continue to suffer because of what someone else did. There are people today pushing to lower the age of consent to 14. If this happens, then all the adult men who have used trafficked girls, 14 and 15-year-olds, they could claim that it was consent, and so there would be no prosecution, not a crime. Because of so-called morality, then, there are people who spend their whole life in shame because they were abused as children or as young women or men. The question is, who would I be without this story? Who could I be? And that's the path to healing from that. But the truth is, people feel attraction, and attraction can be very powerful. Sexual energy makes us feel alive. It's a good thing, not something to be ashamed of or to deny. It's powerful and cannot be contained forever by religion or restrictions of society. It's you who decides what to do with it. You who must determine what is the right thing to do. Many of us need to act out our sexual energy. This action may be with other people or just with ourselves, and that's okay. Sometimes it's just mental. Back in 2001, I was talking to Reverend Amalia Frank on the phone. Some of you remember her. She had agreed to endorse my first book, The Road Home, and I asked her, she was living up in the Leelanau Peninsula during the summer, and I asked her, well, what do you do with your spare time, Amalia? She says, I usually sit on the beach and read sexy novels. I didn't have an answer for that. She was 90 years old at the time. I didn't have an answer for that. So then she said, I may be old, but I'm not dead. For some, sexual expression is in the form of addiction. In the families I worked with as a therapist, the men were all addicted to sex. Their children, being defenseless and wanting their father's approval, became the objects of their addiction. We facilitated healing for the whole family. Sexual attraction, though, is not always about physical sex. Back in 1988, I spent an afternoon with Barbara Marx Hubbard. Some of you may remember. She was a futurist, an author, spiritual teacher. And she introduced the term supra, S-U-P-R-A, suprasexual arousal. Barbara said it was when a male and a female feel strongly attracted to working with each other. The relationship could mistakenly become physical, but it wasn't about that. I personally think the same phenomenon could be felt with any two people of any sexual orientation. She later wrote a book entitled The Suprasexual Revolution. A couple of years later, I experienced it. I was working at U of M as a trainer for the Institute of Social Research, and my partner was a woman. At first, I felt very attracted to her, but the relationship quickly evolved to a true working partnership. We loved working together. We were always in sync with each other. We could anticipate each other's moves. I thoroughly enjoyed that experience, and I have experienced that since with other women. In physical sex, we sometimes join our genes to create a baby. In suprasex, we join our genius to create something beautiful, something new, something more highly evolved. Well, what about love? Sanskrit has 96 words for love. Persian, ancient Persian, has 80. Greek has 3. English has 1. While religions and societies have plenty of rules about sex, there aren't any rules about love. Love is. Even the Bible and A Course in Miracles don't really define it. The Bible says that God is love. That's from the Gospel of John. A Course of Love comes closer to talking about it when they say that love is about union and relationship. Whoever or whatever you love, you find yourself unified and in relationship with that person. Love is also about accepting and embracing others and self. A Course of Love says that love is everything and fear is nothing. A Course in Miracles says that if you can let go of all fear for even a moment and be in a state of only love, you could heal anything. That's called the holy instant. What does love have to do with sex? Sex, I think, is more powerful and more satisfying when it's coupled with love. If you're going to have any rules about sex, love would be a good place to start. Not that you must be in love with the other person, but that you can love, feel caring for, feel respect for whomever you are with. Sex without any love may offer some physical pleasure for one of the participants, but usually it offers a lot of hurt and regret for the other. Even sex in your mind, whether it's physical or not, is better if you have love. But then everything's better with love. Love is affirmation. It's creative. Fear is destruction and hurtful. Sometimes with sex, you have to ask the question, do I love myself enough to say no? Or do I love this other person enough to tell them no? There were times in my single life, that was during my 30s, when I said no to someone I found attractive, because I knew the beginning or the continuing of that relationship could be destructive to both of us. I was always grateful for that decision. I'm not going to talk about the times when I probably should have said no. But we learn from both our good decisions and our bad decisions, right? We move on. Whatever relationship issues we've had in the past, maybe it's time to let go. We are not tied to the past if we are willing to let go and move on. If we use love as our guide for sexual behavior, then it might look something like this. We don't own anyone, even if they are our spouse. Sexual interaction is always a choice, not a have to, not a requirement. A person who doesn't want sex isn't bad or cold or uncaring. A person who does want it is not bad or selfish or justified. Love means we respect each other and offer choice. Relationships change form. Sexual relationships become non-sexual. We change as people. Love is acceptance of what is. And then we decide how to move forward in the most loving way possible. That's always been something important to me, that sex has not ownership. We are not, no one is my sex slave and I'm nobody else's. There are no have-tos there. The only have-to for me is respect. And what about Jesus? Well, Jesus said very little about sex. He said nothing about gay marriage or same-sex liaisons, and definitely nothing about transsexuality. He said plenty about love. In the Gospel of John, we find the story where some Jewish men catch this woman supposedly in adultery, and they come to Jesus and they say, hey, the law says we can stone this woman because she was caught in adultery. What do you say? So Jesus draws something in the dirt, and then he says, well, let him who is without sin throw the first stone. Well, they all dropped their stones and they walked away. So then Jesus says to the woman, where are your accusers? And she says, they're not here. And he says, neither do I accuse you. Go and err no more. Now, there are some big questions about this story, of course, like, where was the man? You know, the one that she was with? Was he standing there holding a rock with the other guys? Or what was going on? What kind of adultery was it? We don't really know. But the point is that Jesus refused to judge her and offered her gentleness and compassion and hope. Now, there is a side story that went with that thing that is not in the Bible. You may have heard about it. That it happened as it was said, that he said, whoever is with sin, cast the first stone. They all started dropping their stones, and suddenly, plink, this little rock hits the woman in the shoulder. So Jesus looks around, like, who threw that? He sees who did it, and he goes, Mom. Anyway, Jesus said to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. He said to love your neighbor as yourself. He said to love your enemies and to forgive 70 times 7, which means to always forgive. He said to remove the log from your own eye before you try to pick the speck out of your neighbor's eye. A Course in Miracles says the lesson of the crucifixion is teach only love. That people did what most would judge the most horrible things to Jesus, and yet he forgave them all. A Course of Love says the crucifixion was meant to end all suffering, that suffering is not necessary, and that Jesus did not suffer because he was above that. Pain is inevitable in life. Suffering is often optional. Suffering comes from resistance to what is, resistance to pain. Jesus taught that you can ask for, and you will, whatever you ask for, you can receive. That if you ask fully believing that you've already received it, whatever you've asked for, it's already yours. He said, love one another as I have loved you. Christianity was first called the way. It wasn't called Christianity. And so it was not really a religion. It was a practice. It was following the things that he said and did. It was practicing those things. Unfortunately, the religion of Jesus became the religion about Jesus. Jesus went from being the great example to being only the great exception. The one and only. Not the person we emulate, but the person we worship. It's all about interpretation. Today, there are 45,000 Christian denominations in the world. 45,000. And they all believe they are right. I remember driving in Indiana one Sunday and listening to so-called Christian radio, and the speakers were talking about how wrong and how bad Catholics were. It was like there was this furnace in hell created just for Catholics. And then a young woman called into the show, and she was upset, crying, that her parents were attending a Unity church. And the speaker said, Unity is a cult, and that all she could do is pray that they change their sinful ways. In much of Christianity today, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, New Thought, if you believe Jesus died for your sins, and if you follow the rules that we made up based on our interpretation of Scripture, then you are saved. Jesus did speak against divorce. In his time, though, if a woman were divorced from her husband, she had nothing. If her family agreed to take her back in, that'd be cool, but otherwise, she had nothing. So it was less about divorce and more about how can you do this to this person you've been married to, and now you put her out there and she's in the street and has nothing, and has no way of making a living or doing anything. In the Old Testament, divorce was supported for two reasons. Your wife committed adultery, or your wife wouldn't have sex with you. Yet later in the Old Testament, it did say God hates divorce. While Jesus said nothing about gay marriage, and the whole Bible says nothing about women being with women, the New Testament quotes Jesus as saying, "Judge not, that you will be judged." What that means is, as within, so without. If you carry judgment or condemnation toward another person for any reason, it will come back to bite you. Today we find ourselves with different opinions. We're polarized on gay marriage, on transsexuality, on abortion. We use the Bible as a weapon against those who disagree with us, or we climb on the moral high ground and think those who disagree are wrong or insane or horrible people. If we have strong reactions to any of these controversies, we can ask ourselves the following question: why am I reacting so strongly to this? In other words, what's going on in you that you're feeling this way and needing to express it? Kim Davis should ask herself that question. Having friends, this is me, on all sides of all of these issues, actually I understand them all. They all make sense to me. They all have their way of coming across it. I understand why they feel the way they do. Yet, I find people make false assumptions about the other side. Jesus did not condemn anyone on these issues. Why should we? How about we take the time to listen carefully and understand whomever we disagree with on these topics? Again, Jesus taught about love, acceptance of one another, not judging one another, not judging yourself, but having honest reflection over your own behaviors. Hence the remove the log from your own eye before you try to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. If you find that you are committing adultery, as in the Eric Butterworth sense, that is, you are going against yourself, your truth, then stop thinking thoughts and expressing yourself in ways that contradict who you are, that are contrary to loving yourself. Be more pure in your thinking. Or what's the 4 agreements? Be impeccable in your thoughts. Same thing. Delete the negative thoughts. Let's withdraw our attention from negative relationships and negative people and are upset over people that might disagree with us. Follow your heart when it comes to sex or anything else, really. Sex is not special. It just is. It's part of life. It's one part of life that we make a very big deal of. So I say choose love. I would want to add this, that if anyone here was abused by others in that way, please know that you are not your body. You have a body. What someone did to you does not affect the purity of your soul, does not define you. It does not affect your connection with God. You are not required to relive that story. Anger, though, is appropriate as a stage in your growth. One day with my group of mothers, the families of incest, all 21 women were very angry at men, and they were spouting off for about a good hour all this heat and anger toward men. I just sat there. And after that time, they all looked at me, and I said, "It's okay, you guys are doing great. Continue on." This is just part of the process. You have to go through the anger to establish yourself as an individual who deserves to be treated differently, or as a mother whose children should be treated differently. So, if also anyone here had a sexual experience that you regret, you are forgiven. If possible, apologize to someone you hurt, or apologize to yourself for decisions you're not proud of. Forgive yourself. As Jesus said, go and err no more. You want to, instead of practicing judgment, practice discernment. Discernment is where we recognize that people have a lot to learn, and we can discern where to spend our time and attention and where to not give our time and our attention. Who we want to hang out with, who we don't want to hang out with. Choose love. Choose forgiveness. Choose joy. Practice these choices, and you will find the kingdom of heaven that's within you. Not in some far-off galaxy, but hidden within your heart. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Bill. This is the time in our service when we pause to fill our hearts with gratitude and appreciation. Appreciation for our ability to be here together today, all the beautiful beings in our lives, and our beautiful fellowship community. And thanking everyone who so generously donates and contributes so that we can continue into our 42nd year this next month. So John is going to come around with the basket today. Please put your prayer requests in as well, and we'll sing together, I Am Grateful.
Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful. Grateful, I am grateful.
Now please pull out your bulletins if you would and read with me the blessing of our tithes and offerings. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. And now if you would, please go within one more time as we wrap our loving energy around all those who are mentioned in the basket today, knowing that our love will extend to them and into their hearts, and they will be free and receive everything that's needed to be a joyous, thriving, happy being. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you so much. And we have another song. Thank you.
could whisper love so loudly, every heart would understand. That love and only love can join the tribes again. Give my heart's desire, so that we might see. The first step is to realize it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything. Keep believing in the power. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Well, that was a perfect ending to the service. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful song. Well, it was a lovely service, a wonderful music. Let's give them another hand. Wonderful message, Bill. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for being here, and all of you watching online as well. I just want to quickly go through a couple announcements here. Waldemar Walk, Sunday, September 7th, first Sunday of the month, 12:30 p.m. with Reverend Sue Quinn. Death Cafe, September 20th, Saturday, here in the building at 2 p.m. Healing Movements with Reverend Julie Dillon here in this building at 4 p.m. every Monday. And I just also want to just get this on your calendar. September 19th is our Peace Quest Sing Out for Peace event. And can you raise your hand if you went last year? Really? Well, you got to go this year. It's the beginning of the Peace Quest event that Peace Education Center hosts each year.
Where is it?
Well, it'll be right here. And we'll come together to sing out for peace. It's a sing-along type session, and Julia Frigi will be performing with her harmony strummers, and Leroy and Matt will be here. Anybody else?
No.
Okay.
Well, hopefully you all.
Yes, and we'll all be singing.
And we'll have songbooks.
Yes.
Sing different
Yeah.
songs.
It was a really fun event last year. Loved it. And it's going to actually be a little bit longer this year because everybody was not ready to go home last year. So please put that on your calendar, September 19th, 6:30 here in this building. Okay, let us join in our peace circle and say our closing blessing. Thank you very much.
Let this be my joy.